If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and another tutorial. Today I'm super excited to sew along with you the Louie waistband bag by Creations. So I've gone ahead and I have made two of them. It does come in two sizes. This is the medium and this is the small. Let me show you the features of this bag. So it's an adjustable strap, so you can wear it across your waist or you can also wear it crossbody. It's great because it accommodates all sizes and shapes of bodies. On the back, we have a zipper pocket, and on the inside, it is a soft, squishy bag. There is no interfacing in this. Awesome. There it is. So this bag is a half bound and half birth construction. Now, I will admit, and I do keep my mistakes in, I went a little bit rogue and I didn't read the pattern fully. So this was the first one I made here and I did it fully bound. And you know what? I didn't hate doing it that way. The small one, I did as per the pattern where this front panel is birthed and then we have binding in the back. Now, let's talk about what I did first. So I just went around and bound everything. Now, because this has very minimal interfacing, like this outer panel, I did this one in a Rex faux leather from Emmeline Bags. There is no interfacing in the vinyl. As you can see, it is a soft, squishy bag. I did use a 400 denier waterproof canvas on the inside. If I used cotton, I of course would have backed that with a medium woven interfacing like Fuse Lite or SF101. But I bound along the zipper, and then I realized when I went to do it up that my binding was all up in the face of the zipper, and I was like, what the heck did I do wrong? So then I went back and read the pattern and went, oh yeah, well, I was supposed to birth that front panel and not bind that panel. But I might do it this way again because I'm not one that really likes to birth the bag. You guys know how I am with my carpal tunnel. This one here, I used a cotton pre-made binding. I wouldn't do this method that I did when I made the mistake on here with waterproof canvas because it would get really thick. But because there's no interfacing in this, and this is just the cotton, all those seams are fairly small. You'll see what I did is I folded all of that binding down and then I top stitched it in place so it hangs out on the inside like that, and it actually gives super great structure to that zipper. So yay, I made the mistake work. Now, I did this one properly and I'll show you the difference. You can see, good thing I had two orders for this. There's no binding along this front zipper. This is all birthed through this bottom opening in the bottom, but then the back is bound. Both methods work great. This one here, when you're sewing around, you're kind of sewing blind. You got to make sure you're not accidentally catching your zipper into the seam because that would be no good. When you do the way I did it when I made the mistake here, you get to see the teeth of your zipper all the time, so you know you're not doing that. So I decided to keep my mistake in because this worked. And of course this works as well. So depending on how you want to do it, I do show you both ways of finishing this bag. So this one, as I said, I used the metallic pink Rex faux leather. My lining is the 400 denier waterproof canvas from Sand Fabrics Creations. I used a pre-made cotton bias tape binding. This is the extra wide one. My zippers and zipper pulls are from Blue Calla. All my other hardware is from Emmeline Bags, including my strapping. This one here, I used a cotton canvas from Overseas Fabrics out of Abbotsford. I did back this with Fuse Lite, but I used a waterproof canvas from Fabricville, 600 denier, a little bit thicker. And I also did a waterproof canvas binding in this one. So this one is a bias tape binding. This one was a waterproof canvas binding. And same thing Actually, this one, all of my hardware, including the zippers and zipper pulls, are from Emmeline bags. My faux leather in this one is one of the variegated vinyls. I do not remember what this one is called. I want to say Coyote or Wolf or something. But it is from Galaxy Customs. And of course, my webbing is from Emmeline bags as well. Super fast sew. I did these cut to finish and edited video all within 4 hours. Super fast, super satisfying, a great bag to practice your binding on. Not hard to bind this at all. And if you've lost your sojo, this will definitely help get that sojo back to you. Anyways, thank you, Tara, for allowing me to make this video. And how about we get to making this bag?
Some optional rivets, number 5 zipper tape, some bias tape, a release buckle, a swivel clasp, D-ring, 3 zipper pulls, and your nameplate. Okay, so this is an optional strap slider piece here, your back lining, your gusset, back gusset lining and exterior, your sling wings to exterior, your back bottoms, exterior and lining, your back top, exterior and lining, your lining main panels and 1 exterior back panel, your lining and your exterior for your base. And these are your zipper tab things, 2 lining, 2 exterior. Some webbing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and work on that back zipper pocket. So I have my lining right side up. I'm going to go ahead and use some double-sided tape. Feel free to use clips if you prefer. I'm going to put it right along the top like so. I'm going to take my zipper also right sides up with my pull closing to the left. And I'm going to put this right along the top like so. So both the lining and the zipper are right side up. I'm going to take my exterior piece, add some more tape or clips. And I'm going to take this and put it right sides together with the zipper tape and the lining, making sure they line up nicely. And then we're going to go ahead and sew across here with the seam allowance, flip the wrong sides together, and then top stitch along that seam. Okay, so that's what that looks like done, and you can see now the pull is closing to the right. That is what we want. Now we're going to take our back zipper pocket lining piece. I'm going to use double-sided tape again. Again, you can use clips. Putting the tape on the top right side of the lining piece, taking that finished zipper panel that we had started for that bottom, it's also right side up, and sticking down that lining along the side of the zipper tape that we have not sewn. Then you're going to take your back top, and similar to how we did the bottom, we're going to again use clips or tape along the bottom side and put this right sides together with our zipper all along that unsewn side, and then we're going to go ahead and sew through there with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then just flip the exterior up and out of the way and top stitch along there. Okay, so that is complete there. So now we want to find our top and bottom centers of this. So just fold in half and do your little snips or your marks, however you like to do it. Now we need to shape this piece. So we're going to take our pattern piece here. Now, I can't remember if I did it properly on this one or not, but we want to match this up nice and centered. Oh, it looks like I did it all right. And that dotted line that's on the pattern piece, you want that to kind of line up with the center of your zipper tape. Okay, I did not do that here. I actually lined it up with the top, but that's okay. And then you just use your pattern piece to cut the rounded shape. I'm also going to go ahead and put my nameplate on my front, like I have done here. And you will see the little markings on our pattern piece here. There are places where we want to mark where our gusset will go. So just with the pen that'll erase, go ahead on the front and the main panels, mark where the gussets will join when we go later on to put on our zipper panel gusset pieces. Go ahead, set those aside for now. Okay, so now let's work on our zippers. So we do have our little zipper flanges here. Make sure you mark which side the zipper goes on. So that's the long, straight side. Very important we get this right. So we're going to take our zipper with our double pulls on it and our lining flange, both right side up, and along the side of the flange that says zipper, we're going to go ahead and clip that in place. And then take the exterior flange, I think they're called flanges, same thing, right sides together, and sew through there. Now you will notice I have marked a little dot on the wrong side of the exterior piece, and that is because we are going to sew these with our 3/8 seam allowance, but we are going to stop needle down in that little dot. And then at that point, that is where we are going to pivot the angled area like so, up even with our zipper tape edge like this. And it's just going to put a slight little curve into our zipper like that, as well as veer off those flanges. So then you're going to go and put your needle down in those little dots and then finish with that seam allowance going nice and straight with that 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And you'll see how it has a slight curve there. Now we want to take these little pieces here and push them wrong sides together, like so, the lining and the exterior. And we are going to top stitch through those right through there. So this is what that looks like there. Now we're going to work on our zipper gusset. So this is the back side. So once again, I am going to use double-sided tape. So you can use clips if your machine prefers that. I'm going to put it down on one of the long sides of the exterior. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my zipper upside down, and the side of the zipper that has nothing on it, we're going to line that up along that edge. Just like so. Then we're going to take our lining piece, do the same thing with either clips or double-sided tape, and then put this right side down over top, lining it up with that exterior gusset piece as well. You can more than welcome to go ahead and baste before doing that if you prefer, but I use the tape as my basting agent. Go ahead and sew across here with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to use some double-sided tape as my pressing agent. I love double-sided tape. You could definitely just press or finger press this, and we're going to push these two panels wrong sides together like so. So there's my exterior. Do the same with my lining, bringing them wrong sides together. Pulling them nice and tight away from the zipper teeth so they don't get caught on there upon opening and closing. I'm also going to use a few clips to kind of hold everything in place possibly, or not. Okay, I usually do. I didn't here. I'm going to change into my regular standard foot here. I'm going to baste the 3 raw edges and then top stitch across the zipper tape right below it. So this is what that zipper panel looks like. Now we're going to add the base. So if we've done our seam allowances right, our bases should be the same width on the side here. Go ahead and take your exterior base and put it right sides together with the exterior side of the zipper panel. Then take your lining and add it into those clips, putting it right sides together with the lining panel. We're going to go ahead, sew across there with 3/8, pull them wrong sides together, and then top stitch that seam in place. And that's one side complete. So we're going to do pretty much the same thing with the other side. Open up your zipper, pull as much as you can without pulling the zipper off of the zipper tape. And we're going to repeat with the other side. Now this is a little more awkward just because we're working in these kind of loop-de-loops, but the same idea. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to sew through here with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Once again, bringing them wrong sides together like that and top stitching in place. Once that's done, go ahead and turn everything wrong sides together like so. And the base pieces, we're going to clip together the lining and the exterior pieces. And then we're going to go ahead and baste both of these sides with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then we have one flowing loop to work with when we go to attach this to our main panels. Now we want to find our top and bottom centers. We're going to match up those side seams and pull it nice and tight to find our bottom and then our top. I don't really want to cut into my zipper tape too much here, so I'm just going to go ahead and make a mark on the wrong side of the fabric for that center. Do the same with the opposite side and do your snips for the top and bottom centers. Okay, so now we're going to work on our wings here. So you're going to take your wing and fold it in half right sides together. I'm just going to use my seam roller to kind of crease it. On our short webbing piece, we're going to mark a 1 inch in from one side, and we are going to stick that right along that center line with that inch hanging over the top part like so, and clip that in place. So you want to make sure the longer part is hanging out the long sides and the shorter part is out the other side. And then we're going to go ahead and we are going to sew along that kind of curvy section with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So right where the fold is, all the way down, leaving the bottom open for turning. You will do the exact same thing with the other wing and the longer strap. There we go. So go ahead and flip this out like so. Give it a little bit of a tug here. That'll help get that top seam nice and taut. Take some clips to prepare this for top stitching, rolling that seam between your fingers like so. And then what we're going to do is we are going to baste that bottom raw edge, and we are going to top stitch the 3 finished edges. So we're going to go in first with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then go in with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance away from that first top stitch line, and then a third top stitch line another 1/4 of an inch away, just to fill in all of that empty space and to make sure that that strap is nice and snug in there. Okay, so now we're going to take the short little strap. I will add a rivet in here potentially later on. I'm going to take the female side of my buckle. I'm going to slide it on that strap and then bring that strap down along the right sides of the wing, like so, clipping it in place, matching up the raw edge at the bottom. I'm going to measure in 3/4 or a 1/2 inch from the buckle and then another 3/4 inch line, and I'm going to sew a box right there. That's the first rectangle sewn. Now we're going to take our D-ring. You're going to put it over the webbing like so, pull it nice and tight against that stitching we just did, and then draw another line about a 1/2 inch or so below the D-ring, and then we're going to sew another box right along here to secure that in place. I've also gone ahead and put 2 rivets in just for added security. Now we're going to take our wings right side up and our back side right side up. Measure 1 inch down and line your wings up, lining up those raw edges like so. Clip that in place. Do the same with the opposite side, again making sure that these are right side up. 1 inch down. And clip in place. And then go ahead and baste those in place. I'm going to show you how I did this the wrong way, which ended up not being a wrong way. It's an alternative way. So as I promised, I'm showing you both ways of doing this. So right now you're going to go ahead and you're going to take your lining pieces and put them wrong sides together with our front and back pieces, and then we are going to baste these in place. Now, if you are doing this the correct way, you would only be doing this with the back panel, the back lining and exterior panels. You wouldn't do this with the front panel, but we will get to that momentarily. This is the way to do it if you're doing a full binding method. So go ahead and baste those in place. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and take our gusset pieces and put them wrong sides out. We're going to take the side of our zipper that doesn't have a gusset on it, so it's the unsewn side that has the little flangey things on it. Match up our top centers of the gusset and our main panel piece. Match up the bottom centers of our gusset and panel pieces. And where our seam is on our gusset panel, we want to line that seam up with those marks we made from the pattern piece onto our main panel like so. So mark that section and then do the same with the opposite side. So we have our quarter sections, which is my favorite way of easily distributing that fabric in between those quarter sections. So go ahead and do that. Now the hardest part here is the zipper tape. So if you need to make some small snips in your zipper tape to help it get around that curve, make sure they are only 1/8 of an inch and very, very slight. We do not want to risk our zipper tape fraying later on. Once we have this sewn in place, we will put fray check on these just to make sure that that won't happen. So putting those little teeny tiny snips in there helps work that around. You also don't want to be stretching your zipper tape too much because that could lead to a wavy zipper. So take extra care doing this. Also, it'll be the same process when we go to do it the way the pattern has written to do this. So just take extra care with that zipper tape. Use lots of clips. I'm going to do the same with the bottom here. So kind of clip it in between those quarter sections until it seems like our gusset is just slightly too small. Do some small snips into that gusset to help spread that fabric around that curve, and use lots and lots of clips to hold that in place. Once we have that all clipped together, we're going to go ahead and sew around there with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Go and put your zipper foot back on, as we want to get an accurate seam allowance here and not accidentally run over those zipper teeth at all. Having a stiletto will also help hold things in place at this point. And I'm just going to double check that I cleared my zipper tape well, and I did. I'm going to just run my finger along to make sure we got all of our straps good. Here's where I'm going to take my fray check, and I'm just going to put it over top of those little snips I did in my zipper tape just to help ensure that's not going to fray later on. Okay, now let me show you the right way of doing this. So what you would be doing if you followed the pattern is you would take your front main panel, your back panel for the lining is not basted on. This is just your exterior piece. And you're going to go ahead and you are going to attach this the same way we did with the other way of doing it, except for, again, we do not have our lining piece put on there. So go ahead and add this onto the same side of the gusset panel, matching up your quarter sections and evenly distributing that fabric around using lots and lots of clips. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and sew around that with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, again with your zipper foot on, using a stiletto to hold everything in place and being very mindful that you are not accidentally running over your zipper teeth. Once that's done, we're going to make a little bit of a burrito or a sandwich or whatever you want to call it here. I'm just kind of popping everything out to make sure everything looks good, to make sure I didn't get too close to my zipper teeth, make sure it's all going to close up properly before we put the lining piece on, making sure it's all nice and straight. Once you're satisfied with that, you're going to kind of fold in. Oh, first I'm going to do my fray check once again on my little snips. And then you're going to kind of fold in the unsewn side of the gusset into the middle, just kind of squish her all in there. And we're going to take our lining panel and we're going to put it right sides together with the main panel like so, making sure we're not accidentally catching the unsewn side to these into the seam, making sure you pull the unsewn side of the zipper down and in, and then adding this to that seam that we had just sewn, making a burrito. I have to mark my gusset pieces here because I forgot to do that. Match up all your quarter sections, pushing everything in. Same with the opposite side. And continue clipping all the way around. So now make sure you're pushing your zipper teeth right in. That zipper tape is going to want to flip up and going to want to be into that seam. So when you're going and sewing this around, use your sense of feel to make sure your zipper teeth are laying out of that seam and you're not accidentally sewing over it. So you got to use your sense of touch here because you are sewing a little bit blind, but you can definitely feel the zipper teeth through the fabric when you go to sew this together. Just make sure it's all going where you want it to go. Once we've made our little kind of pizza pocket here, it almost looks like, we want to make sure that along the bottom, we are leaving a gap about yay so big, open for turning later on. And we're going to go ahead and sew all the way around, again, being very mindful of where our teeth are. Then go ahead and turn this right side out through the opening we left in the bottom. Now I didn't trim my seam allowances or anything because I do not want to trim along that zipper tape any more than I already had done when I did my little snip. So turn this right side out. Now in the pattern, she has you hand sew that opening. I think I have come up with a way where we can avoid the hand sewing. I'll show you how I do that now. So pull this all wrong sides together like so. Poke out all of your seams nice and taut. Make sure you've got the shape that you want. Running your finger along that seam. Use a pokey tool if you need. Double check that your zipper teeth did not get stuck in our stitching there, and make sure it has cleared enough from the fabric on both the linings, on the lining side and the exterior, that your zipper pull is not going to get caught on the pulling when you're opening and closing the bag. Go ahead and press this nice and flat. Take your time to get the shape good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold where that opening is. I'm going to fold that seam, that raw edge seam under, and then lining up along where my stitching line was along the bottom, where we could see where we had done our first row of stitching. I'm going to use a little bit of double-sided tape to hold that in place. Kind of push this inside out like so. Fold this under. Grab some double-sided tape and that'll just help hold that seam in place. And you are more than welcome to hand sew this opening shut as well. But we're just going to do a little extra top stitching, and the top stitching is going to catch where we have folded this over and close up that bottom. Okay, so flip this out like this. This will be the easiest way to top stitch this on the machine. And we're going to go ahead and we are going to top stitch all the way around, including the bottom, and that is going to catch that opening right here. So you can see that is all done and that opening is sealed up with perfection. Now you're going to go ahead and put the back on, and just like we did, like we're going to do here with the other one. So now we're back on par with the pattern. We have sewn the back on just like we did with the front. I'm going to run my finger around just to make sure we caught everything. And then it's time to bind. So I'm going to use bias tape binding. You can use waterproof canvas binding. I don't recommend the waterproof canvas binding if you are going to be finishing at full binding like I did. If you need a class on how to do bias tape binding, is down in the description. So this is it all bound. You can go ahead and pull this right side out, poking out all of those corners, making sure everything is nice and taut and your seams are rolled between and massaged and everything looks good. And then this is how we are going to keep that front binding in place, because right now it's kind of popping up where the zipper is. That's when I realized I did this wrong. But hey, we make it work and it'll be just fine. So I'll show you that top stitching momentarily. I didn't realize that I needed to do that at this point in the tutorial. So first let's finish up the strap. So because I am using a buckle that does not have a adjustable slider strap type thing, I'm going to go ahead and use my slider here. So I have folded in the raw edge of my long side of my strap. Again, making sure it's orientated correctly. I'm folding it up and over that center ring like so, and then I'm taking the male side of my buckle and putting it on the end. And then what you want to do is kind of put this buckle in this way through the back side of the slider, inside the loop there, and bringing it over that center bar again. And then you want to rivet it together. Make sure you are riveting the bottom side of the strap, not the top side, because if you do the top side, it will not be adjustable. So again, the bottom side, go ahead and rivet that in place, just like so, making sure that it's remained adjustable, which it has. And that is that strap complete. Okay, so now let's go ahead and we are going to top stitch this. So go ahead, I'm folding my bias tape binding down and holding it with my clips like so, making sure that they are pointing to the bottom. And then I'm just going to top stitch just along the top area here. I'm going to fold this inside out like this, and right where the top stitching ended on those little flange pieces, I'm just going to top stitch from there to the opposite side, and that is going to hold that binding, excuse me, nice and tight away from the zipper tape. And I found that that fixed my mistake. Again, not a mistake, an alternative way of doing it. So yay! I do like to keep my mistakes in and how I overcome them, because we all learn from our mistakes, and I'm no different than anybody else, and I think it's just important to show that. So it shows, always read the pattern from start to finish and don't go rogue. But then again, if you go rogue, like I did, you may find an alternate way of doing the bag. I did not hate doing it with the binding this way. I honestly will probably do it like this again with any future ones I make. So there you go, turn it right side out. Make sure your zipper tape closes properly and it's not getting hung up. It won't be hung up on that binding anymore. So here's my two, the small and the medium, the one with the binding all the way around, and the one done like the pattern where the front is birth and the back is bound. Pat yourself on the back. You did an amazing job. These are just so adorable. My clients are going to be so happy with them. And we're done.
There you go. That's it. That's all. What did you think of that? Super fast sew, super satisfying sew. I strongly urge you to make this voice bag. It's just awesome. Both of these have been sold already. They are for clients. Again, this is the medium and this is the small. Anyways, if at any point you found this video helpful, please do give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. If you'd like to support my channel further, you could always buy me a coffee. That is linked down below. Also, I lost my train of thought. Oh, check out the membership side of the channel in case there's something there that interests you. Anyways, until the next one, I'll catch you guys again. Bye.